Disease Reform Act.
All right, I just want to alert you all to some breaking news that we're getting. NBC News is reporting that President Biden is expected to pardon his son, Hunter Biden. The president's son was convicted on all 3 felony charges in June related to the purchase of a revolver in 2018 when prosecutors argued Hunter lied on a mandatory gun purchase form by saying he was not illegally using or addicted to drugs. According to NBC News, the president made the decision this weekend. Molly, fast and furious, what do you make of this new news?
I just heard it. I have to process it. I don't have a take. I'm sorry.
Welcome back, everybody. That is Molly Jong-Fast on MSNBC, who for the last 5 years has been at the Daily Beast as the editor-at-large, has been a contributing writer at The Atlantic, has been at Vanity Fair, and is now a political analyst at MSNBC. She's a pundit. She is paid to have opinions on things like this. One thing I can tell you on the Hugh Show is that we bring on people that actually are pundits that aren't at a loss for words, like my next guest, Vic Matus, co-host of Getting Hammered, the great podcast with Mary Catherine Ham and the weekend editor over at the Free Beacon. Vic, do you have anything to say about the Hunter Biden pardon, just out of curiosity?
Good morning, Dwayne. This is a great day for those who have compassion. That's what I'm going to say.
Yes.
Where's your compassion?
Yes.
As a father, I was thinking about Andrew Yang, for example. He had said that, people are going to be talking about this and have some questions, but really any dad would do this. Yes, any dad who's president of the United States.
Exactly right. And look, I'm not making light of the addiction problems of Hunter Biden, but this pardon covers time that really had nothing to do with the addiction. This starts back in January of 2014, 3 months before he goes off and gets signed to a deal to work as a lobbyist for Burisma, right? I mean, there's all sorts of things that are hinky with this thing as far as what is really being covered in this pardon. It's a breathtaking pardon. It's legal. It's totally kosher. But by comparison, and I'll let you react to this, by comparison, when Jerry Ford pardoned Nixon, it was from the period of time of January 20th, 1969, when RN took office, through August 9th, 1974. This pardon covered from January of 2014 through midnight last night, about 12 hours after the ink was signed on the pardon, Vic Matus. Yeah. How do you suppose Hunter Biden spent his last 12 hours of covered pardon?
Yeah. He's celebrating. He's celebrating like any person would. That is a sweeping 10-year pardon. As you mentioned, it's the focus that the president had in his release was about, being addicted to drugs. And I understand that. And that is a serious problem in this country. And that he didn't correctly fill out a gun application because he was high on crack at the time. But it's more than that. You mentioned Burisma. I mean, who knows what else in the last 10 years? We're talking about $1.4 million, I think, that he absconded with or tried not to pay in taxes. People have gone to jail for tax evasion for amounts, less than that. And so when they talk
Al
about
Capone's family, Capone's family would like a word.
Right, exactly. Now, the difference when you mentioned it's interesting about Gerald Ford's pardon of Richard Nixon, and Ford paid a big price for that, and that came back. Obviously, that was a factor in 1976 when he was running for his own election. Joe Biden doesn't have to worry about re-election, number one. And number two, his vice president has not been saddled with this, Kamala Harris. It is interesting to think if Harris had won the election, if his decision would still be the same. Remember, all throughout the summer and for time past, Karine Jean-Pierre, the White House press secretary, repeatedly told the press, repeatedly told Zeke Miller,
a dozen times,
right? A dozen times, no, full stop, end of discussion. Joe Biden is not pardoning his son. Of course, Joe Biden at the time was running for president, so we see what the difference is. Frankly, I'm looking forward to the next White House press briefing where she can gaslight us one more time.
Does she actually come out one more time, or does she take the week off?
I'm sure she does not want to come out one more time. And when she does, psychologists also always talk about, when people get nervous, when they have to come up with something to say, an answer, or they have to lie, they blink their eyes rapidly, and you see that time and again with Karine Jean-Pierre. By the way, you're going to see her like a butterfly. She's just going to be, those eyelids are going to be going, very rapidly. Uh, this is the position that they're in. Again, it's interesting that you have the clip with Molly Jong Fast being at a loss for words. I think the reason for that is the initial reaction is one of common sense, which is wait a minute, that's not fair at all. I mean, Biden can talk all he wants about his son being treated
Any
unfairly because of his
moral high
political
ground the
opponent.
left entertained having, any moral high
Yeah,
ground just went out the window, right? I mean, you
right.
had the Lincoln Project claiming that when MAGA cultists complain about a weaponized justice system, remind them that President Biden has refused to show favoritism towards his
Yeah,
son because he has a commitment to the rule of law. Andrew Weissman, the top goon for Robert Mueller's witch hunt special counsel office, said on MSNBC months ago to Nicole Wallace, "Well, look at what it says about the character of Joe Biden. He's not going to pardon his son. Compare that to what Donald Trump is, and the character issue alone of Joe Biden is head
yeah.
and shoulders above the rest." Well, that goes out the window. All that's just gone.
Yeah, I would anticipate that this coming week you're going to see this in the media. If you look at MSNBC, some of the pundits on CNN, certainly the late night talk shows, they're going to be talking more about compassion. They're talking about how this is the love of a father for a son. I guarantee you that's good. You're going to see that shift.
It's
It
all they
just took
have.
them a few.
It's all they
It took
have.
them a moment to get their bearings because they know the real answer is this is a terrible decision. But
So
uh, lockstep.
Politico comes out, and in three successive headlines, it is Joe Biden will not pardon his son. To Republicans pounce. They pounce on Joe Biden pardoning his son. To Republicans now say Biden is a liar after he pardons his son. So we're at what, the third stage of grief for Politico right now?
Right, right. I'm waiting for the acceptance. I think that line about Republicans bounce. I think that they know exactly what they're doing over there at Politico. That was just a class trolling from them. It drives us nuts. But the rest of it is true. I'm glad they're coming around to him lying because that's not that this matters anymore. I mean, Joe Biden, is the lowest, least popular president that we've had in a very long time. And I mean, he's not trying to salvage it right now unless he comes up with some miraculous two-state solution in the Middle East. This is what people are going to remember him for, things like this.
Sarah Longwell, who is the publisher of The Bulwark, right? And these are obviously no friends of Donald Trump, never will. But even Sarah Longwell comes out and says during the Trump years, we watched an entire political party and its dedicated media apparatus decide that there was no bottom to what they were willing to excuse, defend, and what about. Standing against that means refusing to do the same now when Joe Biden goes back on his word and abuses his power. So Joe Biden, by doing this, even lost the bulwark. There's so much that's just fascinating about how this is going to shake down. Maybe the thing that interests me, and I want to get your take on it, is we saw Nate Silver, the former 538 pollster, and now kind of has his own outfit. But Nate Silver came out, and he's outraged, and he says, unless every elected Democrat comes out and disavows this move and says what a repellent move this is and distances themselves from it, you cannot vote for any incumbent Democrat in 2026 or 2028. This is coming from Nate Silver, Vic Matus.
Yeah. Unless those Democrats, sort of come out against that decision from Biden. But look, I mean, maybe I'm wrong about this, and people are going to say, I mean, as you cited there, Sarah Longwell, good for her, that this is just a bridge too far. We're not going to go there and defend. He will have his defenders, and I'm going to assume that there are still going to be people, certainly on MSNBC, who are going to take that position. But yeah, that's right. I mean, the statement itself was deeply personal, but I mean that in sort of a very vindictive way from Biden. It reminded me of Harvey Weinstein's, statement release after the accusations came out, where instead of saying, in trying to own up to, these allegations against him of abuse, he was like, "Look over there." Do you remember? He said that he'd like to devote the rest of his energies to going after the NRA. In the statement that he
Yeah.
was supposed to be apologetic about. And this one, Biden's talking about his political opponents here, in Congress. Um, I'm I will be encouraged if people are not buying that. I mean, certainly the American people who voted for Trump, and that's a lot of people, are going to say this is ridiculous. But if people in the party, in the Democratic Party, are willing to now, discard Joe Biden and say what he did is wrong, that's a good thing for all Americans, I think.
Closing question. How fast do you think this speeds up the process for Donald Trump to pardon every J6 person out there?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, Dwayne, because I thought for sure perhaps Donald Trump might have gone out of his way when he took office to, pardon, the J6 people as well as Hunter Biden. Sort of like, let's just call it even. But now that Joe Biden has pardoned his son, I think that gives certainly Trump some leeway, and I think that people will cut him some slack, and I imagine he's going to do that then.
I can't wait to hear what you and MK have to say about it. Mary Catherine Ham on the next Getting Hammered. I'm assuming it will be. Vic
Okay.
Matus, follow.